Welcome to the Faith Snacks Podcast, bite-sized snacks to grow your faith. I am your host, Chris Adams. Thank you for joining me, and let's get in today's program. I am back after a long hiatus, after a nice vacation, after taking some time off, and let's get back into it. Let's talk about something new and different today. Let's talk about being corrected. You know that God used a donkey to rebuke his own prophet. Look it up. It's in the Bible. And the donkey talked to the prophet and rebuked him. Now let me ask you this. If God used a donkey back then, do you think that he could use someone today that we would consider lower than a donkey to rebuke us? I would think so. You know, I've had situations and experiences in my life that are so good for teaching that, I'm sure everyone has those experiences. I had an experience one time that a pastor that I knew very well had said to somebody, "There is nothing I can learn from you." And this is someone in his congregation. Sadly, that pastor is not in the ministry today. But you know what? God can use anyone to correct anyone. That's the awesome thing about God. He could use somebody that's not a believer, somebody that you wouldn't ever think could be used by God. God can use them. God can use someone that's been born again, that's had a terrible past, but they have a bright future, and God can use them. God can use the things that we think are stupid to change our lives. He can use something as simple as an ant to correct us in our way of thinking. He does that. Go look through Proverbs. Go look through Psalms. Read some of that stuff. It's good stuff that God used these things that you wouldn't think anything of. But let me ask you this. Are you open to correction? Are you open to someone telling you, hey, you don't know it all? Because a lot of people aren't. A lot of people think they are, but they're not. I know of some people that think that they know everything, and they are pretty wise. They got some good things to tell people. They're mightily used of God, but they're off in these one areas. See, that's something else. Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow. But they're off in this one area. And if they could just realize, hey, God's using me great here, but here, not so much. Maybe I need some help in this area. So let me ask you this. Are you able to be corrected? But are you so high and think so high of yourself that if God was going to correct you, he'd have to use a donkey? Just think about it. Go back and read that story in the Old Testament. Here was a prophet of God that thought so high of himself, thought he was so smart that God had to go all the way. God couldn't use a human. He wouldn't listen to a human, apparently. He had to go all the way and use a donkey. Hopefully, you will listen to God. You will listen to his spirit. You'll listen to people that he puts in your path long before he has to get to an animal to correct you. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to stay in touch or get connected, you can find me online at www.chrisadams.com. And there you can find all the different social media networks I am on. Thank you for joining me again, and I will see you back here next time.